This video is requested by Lizard Lord, Budget 123, The Kid YT, Rodar Evil, Insignia 27, and Sullivan Adams. Hello and welcome back to Quirk Analysis 101, the series where I give you a detailed rundown on the quirks in the world of My Hero Academia. In the last video, I discussed the ability that belongs to the inside-out boy, Tren addicted psycho Gym Bro Goto Imasuji, aka the villain Muscular, and his predominantly powerful piledriving quirk that is Pump Up Muscular Augmentation. Whoa, when was it called that? I swear to God it was called Pump Up like last week. What the f happened? Oh, great, now I look like a dumbass.
Wouldn't be the first time, Mr. Lunchtime.
I'll kill you, Dave! In today's video, I'll be discussing the ability that belongs to the blonde bombshell, can I get a hoorah, Miss America herself, Cathleen Bate, aka America's #1 hero, Star and Stripe. And holy sweet holy, she is jacked! I was literally talking about a dude with a muscle power 2 seconds ago, but look at her, she doesn't even need a quirk, damn! And now, without further ado, let's march on over to the patriotic, proud, powerhouse quirk that is New Order. New Order is a close-range emitter-type quirk which first appeared in chapter 330 of the My Hero manga, and of this video is yet to appear in the anime. This quirk grants its user the ability to apply a rule onto themselves or their surroundings that allows them to manipulate or give new properties to said target. Basically, if the user touches something and calls out what they are touching, they can manipulate that thing in whatever way they like. This includes changing the target's nature, form, or attributes. On top of this, the target of this quirk doesn't have to be corporeal, with this quirk being able to affect the air, laser beams, and even other people's quirks. Now, this may seem like an extremely overpowered quirk, and that's because it is. You can literally change the very being of whatever you come in contact with. It's essentially the touch of God in quirk form. It's beautiful. Although, as godlike as it is, it's not perfect, possessing numerous limitations that I will discuss later. Because just like Overhaul's arms, it's time to move on. And what better topic to move on to than this quirk's abilities. And oh boy, does this quirk have some crazy abilities. For starters, by applying a rule to themselves, the user can massively increase their own speed, power, and durability, instantly turning themselves into a superhuman. That's right, the user can simply give themselves their own superpowers. And that's kind of the thing when it comes to this quirk in terms of abilities. Due to the nature of this quirk being able to apply what you want to anything you touch, there really is no limit to the number of abilities this quirk offers. Whether you want to fly, run super fast, become frog-like, gain 20/20 vision, catch laser beams, or even create massive air avatar versions of yourself to pummel your enemies, you can. The list of things you can do/affect with this quirk is practically endless. Hell, Star and Stripe even created a rule causing the air 100 feet in front of her to disappear, creating a giant star-shaped vacuum in the middle of the sky. With power like this, it's no wonder she became America's #1 hero. That, and the fact that she's absolutely jacked. Hey, she's got my vote. But interestingly enough, besides creating rules that affect their target instantly, New Order can also create conditional rules as well. What this means is the user can apply a rule to a target which only takes effect once the target performs a specific action. The example in the story being when Star and Stripe touched a person and created a rule stating if that person moved again, their heart would stop. So you could sneakily apply a rule to something or someone and they would have no idea they were affected by your quirk until the rule itself takes effect. This makes it so coming in contact with a wielder of this quirk is extremely dangerous and terrifying, as they could have changed something about you and you would have absolutely no way of knowing until it's too late. Stealth, power, versatility, efficiency, this quirk has it all. Except for range, that is. That stipulation that you have to make physical contact with your target to apply a rule is important. Although in terms of limitations, it's certainly not the worst, as it can easily be overcome. And there's no better example of overcoming this issue than New Order's super moves. The first of which is called Fist Bump to the Earth. For this move, Star and Stripe creates a rule stating that the air she has touched is to form into her shape only 1,000 times bigger, effectively creating a massive air avatar version of herself that copies her every move. And then, with this avatar, she releases a full power punch, completely obliterating her target. For context, this is the air avatar right here, and this little speck right here is a fighter jet. Yeah, I didn't exaggerate when I said massive. That air booty is humongous. Also, to make this move even more terrifying, it's important to note that this air avatar is only visible to us for context. People in the My Hero universe can't see it as it's just air. Can I just add this to the list of the top 5 most horrifying quirks already? Yeah, I think I can. But if you think not, this next super move might change your mind, as it's called United Hypermax Output Laser Keranos. Wow, that's a mouthful. And for this super move, Star and Stripe, using her air avatar, gathers up lasers created by nearby fighter jets and makes a rule to combine said lasers into a gigantic laser lance, which she then thrusts into her target, simultaneously burning and piercing them. Remember how I said this quirk was godlike? Yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna take back that statement. Just look at this move. No wonder there's a constant power struggle in the My Hero world. I mean, Zero can shoot tape from his elbows, and Star and Stripe becomes a god. How is this fair? But that's not even the worst of it, as New Order actually has an ultimate move. Oh yeah, you better believe there's something more insane than a laser lance. And this ultimate move is called State-of-the-Art Hypersonic Intercontinental Cruise Punch. With a name that long, you know it's going to be amazing. For this ultimate move, Star and Stripe, using her air avatar, grabs multiple thermonuclear missiles and punches her target with them. Yes, you heard me right. New Order allows you to literally punch your enemies with nukes. That's nukes plural, by the way. And just to clear something up, these are thermonuclear missiles, which are known to be 100 to 1,000 times more powerful than an atomic bomb. You know, just in case you were afraid of this move not being strong enough. To be honest, this move speaks for itself. I don't know what else to say other than God bless America and salute that flag. Ain't nothing more American than punching a nuke into your enemy. Ye to the fucking ha. Wait a minute, did Horikoshi just write in an American nuking Japan? And now, onto what I honestly believe to be the most interesting part of this quirk, its weaknesses. And the reason I say this is because not only are there actually quite a few and very impactful limitations to this quirk, but when you limit an all-powerful quirk like this one, it forces the user to be more creative with it, making it all the more interesting. Plus, you'll get to see why this quirk isn't classified as unbeatable. So I guess I'll start by letting you know that the first and one of the most impactful weaknesses of this quirk is the fact that you can't apply more than 2 rules at the same time. This means that if you apply a rule onto one thing and apply a rule onto another, for you to apply a third rule, you have to cancel one of your 2 previous rules. So you can't just go all willy-nilly manipulating anything and everything you like. You have to be strategic in what you affect and when you affect it. The best example of this is Star and Stripe's super moves. You see, in order to defend herself, Star constantly applies a rule to herself, giving her superhuman strength. However, 2 of her super moves require her to use 2 rules, one affecting the air and the other either affecting the lasers or missiles she uses. So for her to perform these attacks, she has to remove the rule giving her super strength, ultimately making her actual body extremely vulnerable during either of these attacks. Sure, she can punch you with a nuke, but when she does, she's as weak as anybody else. Also, on the topic of giving yourself super strength, strangely enough, there is actually a hard limit on how strong you can make yourself become with this quirk. While this quirk on paper can seemingly do anything, there are certain limitations on how much it can affect certain things. And one of those limitations just so happens to be how much it can improve a living physical body. While there is absolutely no limit on how much you can impede, hurt, and damage a person with this quirk, you know, because you can literally make rules that unalive people, there is a limit on how much you can improve, power up, or help them. Now, to be honest, it's quite vague on what these actual limits are, but we do know that while Star and Stripe can greatly increase her physical power, she can't actually increase it to the level of All Mights. Think of it this way, when it comes to living creatures, you can destroy them as much as you want, but you can only improve them to a certain level. So, no infinite strength or invincibility. Also, when it comes to living creatures, they are actually the hardest things to apply a rule to, and that's because you need to call out the name of the thing you are applying the rule to. This makes it real simple to apply rules to inanimate objects such as a phone, a rock, or that subscribe button, wink wink, nudge nudge, please for the love of God. But when trying to apply a rule to something that has its own sense of identity, you have to call out the name the person identifies as. Basically, if your friend Steve fully believes himself to be Zorgo the Almighty, regardless of you knowing him as Steve, you have to call out Zorgo the Almighty to apply the rule to him. This little stipulation can actually prove to be a terrible weakness, as not only do you have to know what name your opponent identifies as to be able to affect them, but it also means that this quirk is extremely hard to use on someone with a split personality disorder, as in any moment they can believe themselves to be one of their personas, and it's also near impossible to use on someone who doesn't know or is unsure of who they are. So if you ever begin questioning who you really are, hey, look on the bright side, you're immune to one of the most powerful quirks in the entirety of My Hero. It's also important to note that you can't make rules that arbitrarily affect something you haven't touched. Meaning that you can't make rules like making someone unalive after they touch the same air you did. Although you could make the air poisonous, which would essentially lead to the same result. In essence, no instant unaliving people unless you touch them. And finally, definitely not the biggest weakness, but one just as important is the fact that you have to speak to use this quirk. Simply cover the user's mouth, remove their vocal cords, or catch them after a long night of karaoke, and boom, this quirk becomes unusable. Let it be known that Taylor Swift can take down America's #1 hero. Come on, all her songs are bops. But with all of that said and done, now it's time to talk about this quirk's potential. It's unlimited. Look, I'm gonna be honest. With the nature of this quirk, it is quite literally unlimited potential. With the exception of the weaknesses I just named, you name it, it can do it. Done, section over, close the curtains, wrap it up, time to go home everybody. Dave, I swear to God, if you put soy milk in my latte, I will smack you so hard your mama's gonna start taking notes. And that's everything you need to know about the quirk New Order. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what quirk you would want to see me cover next, and always remember to go beyond plus ultra.